grinding every day. Long hours, no backup, no accountability. That ends now. The Empower Solopreneur Mastermind gives you one simple advantage: a weekly power session that turns isolation into domination. Every Friday morning on Zoom, you'll get real coaching and real feedback to make real moves. Join a group of driven professionals in a program designed for solopreneurs and people working at home. Stop getting stuck. Start scaling. Seats are limited. Lock in yours today at modernobserver.com/empower-mastermind.
The ex-Prince Andrew arrested. Military force gathers in the Middle East. A potential settlement for Roundup cancer victims, and more. Welcome to the Raw Naked Truth. I'm your host, Eric Lopkin, and here's the news you need to know. Andrew Mountbatten Windsor, the brother of the UK's King Charles III, formerly known as Prince Andrew, has been arrested on suspicion of misconduct in public office, according to reports. The police force did not name Mountbatten Windsor, as is normal under UK law, but when asked if he had been arrested, the force pointed to a statement saying that they had arrested a man in his 60s. Mountbatten Windsor has faced public scrutiny due to his ties to the late Jeffrey Epstein. The White House said parties are still pretty far apart on negotiating funding for the Department of Homeland Security, which lapsed Saturday, leaving much of the department working without pay. However, the shutdown has had little effect on Immigration and Customs Enforcement, the most controversial DHS agency, because it received separate appropriations last summer. U.S. brokered peace talks between Ukraine and Russia wrapped up in Geneva after just 2 days with little progress, as President Zelensky accused Russia of dragging out negotiations over territorial disputes in eastern Ukraine. Secretary of State Marco Rubio has been holding secret talks with Raul Guillermo Rodriguez Castro, the grandson of Cuba's de facto dictator Raul Castro. The Trump administration hopes that the younger Castro will help facilitate major changes in Cuba, which is experiencing its worst economic crisis since Fidel Castro took control of the island in 1959. The U.S. has assembled the most air power in the Middle East since the 2003 Iraq War. Pentagon and Trump administration officials told the New York Times the buildup of force could enable strikes on Iran as soon as this weekend and sustain a broader air campaign if ordered. President Trump has reportedly not decided whether to strike the nation or seek a diplomatic solution. Military options include the U.S. further damaging Iran's nuclear program, which the U.S. struck last June, or removing the current regime. A retired general said the move may be a show of force designed to pressure Iran into a nuclear agreement. Diplomatic talks continue after U.S. and Iranian representatives met in Geneva this week. The White House said the meeting produced a little bit of progress, but added we're still very far apart on some issues. Bear has proposed a $7.25 billion class action settlement to resolve tens of thousands of lawsuits alleging its Roundup weed killer containing the controversial herbicide glyphosate caused non-Hodgkin lymphoma. The deal, filed in St. Louis Circuit Court, would pay out claims over 21 years to people exposed to Roundup before this week who have been or will be diagnosed with that cancer. Bayer has faced a flood of litigation since acquiring Monsanto in 2018 for $63 billion and has already paid more than $10 billion in prior verdicts and settlements. The German company still faces roughly 67,000 remaining claims. The company, which has lobbied for a law protecting it from liability, maintains that Roundup is safe and admits no wrongdoing. The Supreme Court is set to hear arguments on the issue in April. That's the Raw Naked Truth for February 19th, 2026. You can catch every episode of the Raw Naked Truth Daily News Brief, as well as our sister podcast, Carnivore Radio, with news analysis and commentary, and the rest of the Xvadio Podcast Network at xvadio.com, the Apple Podcast app, YouTube, Rumble, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Audible, Amazon Music, and other platforms that respect freedom of speech. We'll see you next time.